day his hair's white. But it's but it's just it's so different in the different countries. In Japan, you know what they would latch on to. You know, it wasn't our humor, because I think it's a really funny, dark, you know, funny um, show. It's David. There's just so much of him in it, and everybody. You're right when you say there is magic on that set. Boy, when he is there, everyone is just lit up, and it's happy, and it's not about stupid technical stuff. It's about, I mean, technical problems. You know, that shot or that shot. I mean, he will just keep everything rolling. And Angelo, who I really am here to speak for, because he's the one who's really responsible. He's the Bernard Herrmann. He's the one who, you know, I really truly believe music makes comedy and music makes a drama. It really does. It's 50%, but that's my thing. It is, and that's why I think growing up and watching so many movies and so much TV, I don't know where the actor started in me as a little kid or the musician, but somewhere they got melded around the age of 4, 5, and I have perfect pitch, and it came from I don't know who, but yeah, it was. I was not prepared for this at all. I just looked at David and I said, how am I going to pull this off live? How am I going to do this? I'm not beautiful or exotic or anything. You know, what are we going to do? And I mean, it was a big problem.
Au
And
contraire.
I really had to find that, you know, he had to direct that in me. He had to actually rip it out of me. And with Angelo, he just, it was really against me playing, you know, singing this. And, but he worked with me for a little bit, just a little bit. And I'd never sang on a mic before. No, you blow the house down, you know. I had a big voice and a high belt, very high belt. And I guess they had some other music in mind. And I've never heard the Cato Twins. I know it's in my discography, but I've never heard their stuff. So there wasn't anything to really, you know, do that with, but it was really fun.
Can you remember some of the things David would say to you? Like what he was trying to evoke?
One day I was really, you know, I had to go over and everything I wanted, my interpretation of the music, of how to play the music, was as pure and just as a horn player would do it. I would, you know, back phrase everything. I'd be really square, no scooping. I was the only one that was going to do all the harmonies and the vocals, no backups.
Did he say that? Did he say no scooping?
Nope, I did. But we all called our own shots.
Yeah.
You know, David, you have to understand, you know, he was sort of finding new territory, right, a new love, yeah, and something that he wanted to learn about. And the one thing I guess we all had in common is I was a French horn player, so was Angelo. I bet he could have kicked my butt. But David was also a trumpet player, and a good one. But it was, I mean, it was such a whirlwind for me.
You said he was the surf guitar. Is that Angelo?
That's, you
boom,
mean,
boom.
Yeah, that's Vinnie Bell. Vinnie Bell, who I found really crass and awful. He was this guy, and he told me he had a wet dream about me the night before. Angelo, that's absolutely, that doesn't fly, man. And Angelo just laughed, and I'd say, that's no. So I was really in a man's world. I was, and I was, you know, not prepared for it. But Vinny had to down-tune his guitar like a Dwayne Eddy. Yeah. And then that's how he did it. It had to be a certain twang. But most of all, most of the tedious part of the sessions were the beginning of the synthesizer, the beginning of electronic music. Oh, God. I mean, that was like, you know, it would break every minute. Something would break. And so David would draw these little cartoons and stuff. And it was just, I don't know what the question was or what the point was. What happened? Where am
Did you
I?
suggest that biker chick look too?
Actually, no. I was in a biker bar, so I figured I had to. There was a part of me, though, that did influence some of the costumes for the girls. I used to wear my Catholic girls' plaid skirt all the time with Doc Martens in to record. And since I was a square, I couldn't dye my hair black like I wanted to, you know, in the East Village. I really wanted to bad. But I had big, you know, big goofy blonde hair still. And but I just those skirts. I guess David liked that skirt. And the prom dress. I had a lot of talks with him about things, you know, in high school, what he was like, if he was popular, if he was a nerd, or no, he was popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was real handsome. And he was my favorite story of David is he went up to the real homely girl who had, you know, homemade dresses, butter bricks, or whatever those patterns are and stuff in Montana, and he went up to Winslow. Winslow was her name, and she was always, you know, very down. She had a pair of pearls on there that day, and David went up to her and told her she looked nice, and she completely just changed into this. I mean, she was so grateful that someone like that. I mean, just to look at David, even now, he's a fox. He is. He's a heartbreaker then.
Kyle, I'm curious to hear a little bit about the obsession with Twin Peaks in Japan. And also those great coffee commercials that you guys did. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Hey, come on. Twin Peaks hit very hard in Japan. We went over and did some promotion. And then we did a kind of a crazy coffee commercial, Georgia Coffee, which is sort of like took Twin Peaks and then just kind of amped it even higher. Because everything was like, that's really what they want, but we kind of like, I guess that's what we want. We did a sequence of these crazy commercials. I had no idea. I was just like, okay, whatever, you know. There's some girl that we're trying to find, and she's in somebody's mind, and I don't know. Okay, whatever. What do you want to do? But they really loved it. I got some amazing things, like the fans would send, like books that they had made of drawings and things cut out from magazines and stills and writing, and just like these like books that they would send to fans and things. I had 3 they sent out. It's amazing. I've kept them. Yeah.
One direction I got for a photo shoot was, okay, Julie, now halfway in, halfway out, Japan.
Did you ever do one of those crazy game shows?
No. You mean those pachinko parlors?
No, I love it. Pachinko parlors. Those are great. But no, you go on a show, and it was kind of it was like an entertainment show, like a variety show.
No, but it wasn't like a, you know,
No.
da-da-da-da.
No, it's really this crazy thing. They have hosts, and they're all speaking Japanese. You have no idea. You're just sort of standing on the stage, like, and kind of like trying to smile and be like,
Right.
I don't know if they're talking about me or not. And then they turn to you and smile, and they say something, and you're like, okay. And then you're like, hand you something silly, and you gotta put a mask on, and you gotta like jump around. And you're like, okay. I guess Rob Lowe did this. That's okay. That's okay. it was like, those were kind of weird things. Just, you just go along with it, right? Okay.
We also, a few weeks ago, we showed the Harlem Shake video.
It was like a total. I take no credit. We were doing something completely different, and they said, "Hey, we do these Harlem Shake." It's like, what's that? And they were like, "Well, it's this thing you dance," and then they showed me a couple examples. I said, "Oh, they're kind of fun." I said, "So what do you want to do?" He said, "Yeah, we'll do a Harlem Shake. Maybe we'll do a Twin Peaks Harlem Shake." It's like, okay. So they said, "So I'm going to be Cooper, I guess." He said, "Yeah, you be Cooper." So I was like, "Let's see, so what am I going to do?" And I said, "I'm not much of a dancer," so I was like, "Well, I'm not going to sort of gyrate around." But they said, "Here, put this mask on." I said, "Okay, the mask is good." And they said, "Well, coffee would be good." So I got a coffee cup. And then everybody in the office, and it was like this big production facility, everyone like came running, and every person had their own sort of like character, obviously. So they all dressed up and then just got in front of the green screen and just did this crazy thing. And I was like, and then I saw it, I was like, well, that's turned out okay. Very enthusiastic. It was fun.
And Julie, you collaborated on the Psych episode, right? Was there?
Yeah.
Tell us about coming up with that. What it was like for you to kind of revisit this stuff.
Well, I wanted it to be respectful. I wasn't quite sure because I'd always seen Psych commercials. I'd never seen the show itself. But the producer and the writer, the producer and the director are brothers, and they both went to Juilliard, so they're musicians, and they wrote it, and I just did some of the tricks, that I would do, like in Into the Night, so, instead of that I go, different things that I can do with my mouth. I didn't mean it like that. But it's like, one thing that did bother David was my mouth smacking. I don't know. I do a lot of sounds with my mouth. I don't know that it would come up on the mic would have to be so loud. And I was so close to that mic. He would only direct the move type thing. It just had to be so precise and perfect. Otherwise, it'd come off trite. And it deserved much better. So I approached the Psych performance that way.
I have a couple of questions about Fire Walk With Me that if you guys want to start lining up for questions, we have a microphone over here. So Kyle, tell us a little bit about the genesis of getting back involved in Twin Peaks for the film. Were you involved at all in sort of developing the Cooper part of the story? And what sort of things can you tell us that might not be in the final film?
No, I wasn't really involved in the Cooper part. I came in and there was a lot of excitement because David Bowie was there, and I'm a huge Bowie fan, so I got to be sort of fanboy for a bit. And I got a Polaroid of us together. That was, to me, that's the most exciting. Being there with that. It was pretty cool. We shot in Seattle. It was fun to go back. We did. It was one of those things where I felt like Cooper was involved, but we didn't have as much to do. I think as in this sort of in this series, and it was sort of pivotal in the series, and it seemed less so in the film. It was really more about the investigation, what the situation would happen, what actually happened, So I felt a little more like a peripheral player in that instance, which was fun. It was just a different time.